All right, Mercury and Libra. Mercury and Libra. These people, they have um, a way of thinking. They think logically. They talk about what's going on in their communities, what they could do for other people. Typically, not all the time though. The key here is also they like to use nice words, kind words, sound calm when they speak, sound you know like truly cool. Like I'm just telling you, this, and they're telling you something, and it ain't just some bullshit. It ain't just some useless ramblings of their own feelings. It's like some actual information that could possibly help you out. They're actually trying to communicate with you about some shit. But like, remember, this is a Mercury sign, so people who ain't always like that will communicate with you, right? And they'll use, like I said, kind and soft words. Whereas somebody will be like, they'll just, like me, they're kind of the opposite of me. I can sound sometimes like a douchebag and shit. I say, I need this. I need it now. Like, there's no fucking waiting for it or anything. I need that shit now. These people are like, oh, well, may you please help me. I have this going on. They're giving you information, and they're like, if you do this for me, I could possibly do that for you, or vice versa. I'll do this for you. They have a way of working with people, through conversation. That's key there. They like to do that. And that's a powerful thing to have, is a voice like that. Other people gotta not be upset with these people. They're just using what they got. So they're gonna talk, and they're gonna talk to you with respect, or they're not going to acknowledge anything about you too much. They're just going to use their manners. They're going to say, please, or is there any way you can, take some time out to help me out? I'll greatly appreciate it. I really, they do that. They use kind words and other things to get their points across. And then also, these people don't mind speaking up for other people who may not want to speak or anything else. And like, even when they're doing that, they're going to be like, well, this person says this and that. I'm just a person, telling you because they felt like they could talk to me or tell me to tell you what they wanted to tell you, because they just didn't want to tell you because they were not willing to conversate with you. They might have done something that they didn't want to like approach the person because the person would get angry, so they told somebody else to tell them, and that's this person. And then that person just like, kind of a middle person. Sometimes they don't mind having, talking for people that, don't want to, get their own message out there. But like, you gotta like still take these people with a grain of salt too sometimes. As I say, they use kind words and like nice words sometimes. It's a way to play games sometimes, but typically they, sometimes they ain't like that. That's the Mercury of Libra. A very kind of soft, calm, gracious speak. They speak gracefully. They ain't gonna sound kind of like too loud, too like proud about what they're saying necessarily. And they could if they are like a goddamn, like Scorpio, or maybe even a Leo, like a late Leo, they could have the Mercury placement in Libra. And when they speak, they get their messages across because they sound nice and they sound like they can, give you a statement without being too crazy about it. They have something to say or say something for somebody else, they'll do that. They're cooperators. They like to plan and cooperate with others. Cooperators are cool, and they are cool. But that's the thing about a cooperator, they don't ever have time for themselves. So there's that too, but they make it work. They make their situations work for them. And somebody like this who has negative thoughts could, have envy towards other people sometimes. And then they could be the one spreading rumors about people. That's the negative side of this. But like I said, they use that calm and kind of communication to get their way. So you gotta think when talking to these people. Yes, they might be talking to you nice and everything else, and they sound like they know what they're talking about, but just don't question everything they say, but know that they could be playing games just like anybody else. But yeah, that's Venus and or not Venus, my bad, because it's Libra, right? That's Mercury and Libra for you. They're definitely gonna be cool, calm, corner. Yeah.